Hey guys, this portion of Sunday GUNDAY is sponsored by Core Essentials, and if you're subscribed to my main channel, then there's a really good chance that you heard of them before, and they're really cool belts like this new black multicam version that I'm wearing right now. Now they have just released this new micro battle belt, and they have solved one of the biggest problems that I've had with other battle belts in the past. These belts are made from an outer nylon and moly webbing, which is rated up to 500 pounds, and they are reinforced with their power core center, making it stronger than any steel core belt. They are one size fit most, covering waist sizes from 24 up to 48, and their patented spring buckle system gives you more than 20 different sizing positions, allowing you to adjust the belt in 1/4 inch increments. Now let me show you guys how I currently have this one set up. I started off by cutting the outer belt to my exact pant size with the included measuring tape, and then I cut the inner belt just 1 inch shorter and fastened a metal clamp on there to keep everything nice and neat. Next, I backed out the screws to install the buckle. I slipped that over the cut end, pressed the teeth down to secure the buckle on there, and then I retightened the screws to make this thing extra secure. From there you can test fit the belt, make sure everything is cut to size, and then you can start attaching accessories. There's a few different ways you can do this, one by using the moly webbing around the outside, but in my case I kept things a little bit easier and just used some gear that I could slide right onto the outer belt. If you have any mag pouches or holsters with this clamp-on design, they work great and it is super easy to adjust. Once you have that all together, you can start by putting on the inner belt and then slowly placing the outer belt around the outside. And unlike other belts that use some sort of outdated Cobra buckles that are not super adjustable, this trackline system allows you to tighten the belt as much as you want, and then maybe you had a big lunch while you were out on the range and you need to loosen that thing a little bit. All you have to do is press the little spring latch and you have almost infinite adjustability. All Core products have a 30-day money-back guarantee and a full 1-year warranty, so check them out at coreessentials.com, and thanks again to Core for sponsoring this portion of Sunday GUNDAY. What's going on, everyone? My name is Talon Sai and you are watching Sunday GUNDAY. I hope you guys are having a great Sunday so far. Prepare yourself for some unpopular opinions, probably all throughout this video. I am not a fan of the Sig Sauer P320. Never really have been, probably never will be, until we test out the gun that we're talking about today. Now this is a gun that I've had in my collection for quite a while now, but my life has been super crazy, so I haven't been able to complete the testing until today. I've already got a couple hundred rounds through this gun, but I definitely need to test it some more to see if it will actually change my mind on the platform that a lot of people love, the P320. So without further ado, today we are taking a look at the ZEV Z320 X-Carry Octane. The ZEV Technology Z320 is an official collaboration between Sig Sauer and ZEV. There are a lot of different flavors when it comes to these different packages, but this one happens to be the X Compact with what ZEV calls their Octane slide. This comes standard with the Sig flat face trigger, and the Octane slide is actually cut for a Trijicon RMR. So in this case I have an RM06 mounted up to the top. This also comes standard with ZEV's Pro Barrel and their fiber optic combat sight up front. And because I have the RMR mounted up, that rear sight there is not going to be super useful in today's testing. Now when it comes to the Octane slide, there are super aggressive serrations all down the side of it in both the front and the rear. And there's also some cutouts on the top of the slide which look like ports, but this barrel does not happen to be ported. Just adds a little bit of flair to the gun, and it also allows you to get a really nice purchase on there when you are racking the gun from the front of the slide. Now when it comes down to the grip, this particular version was one of the first runs of the gun that they did. So you'll notice that ZEV did texture the frame on both the front and rear and the sides of the gun. They added their logo, and it's not super aggressive, but it does give a pretty positive lockup in the hand. Just based off my initial feel, I would say that this would probably be a pretty good texture to actually carry with this gun up against your side. Everything else is pretty standard. It's shipped with 2 mags, both 17 rounders, and there's a Picatinny rail underneath. That way you can mount up any other accessory that you so choose. Alright guys, today's ammo was provided by Remington, so huge thank you to them. Next time you are online shopping for ammo, or maybe you're at your local gun store, keep Remington ammo in mind, because thanks to them I'm able to have ammo for videos like this. You can support this channel and future videos by supporting them. Now like I mentioned, I was testing this gun for a little while, so before we get into sort of a refresher first mag, let's check out some of the videos that I've filmed in the past. So like I mentioned, that was from a while ago, so I'm gonna put one more mag through here just to get a more refreshed first mag impression. Alright guys, so immediate first impressions, the X grip or the X compact grip, this style of grip when it comes to SIG and the P320, this in my opinion is just the best version of this gun. Some of the original versions had that sort of like big bulbous style grip. It was a lot wider than this one is, and it just doesn't really fit my hand that well. When it comes down to purchasing a pistol, a lot of times for first-time buyers, a lot of people will tell them whatever feels good in your hand, that is something that you should consider. The P320, like the stock versions, never felt good in my hand. The whole platform in general, it just never really fit my hand well for a few different reasons, which we're going to talk about. But for ZEV to build the Z320 on this platform was definitely a really good choice. It feels a lot more natural in my hand. It's a little bit slimmer than those original grip modules. You do have like a little bit of a finger groove up here, almost like a finger choil, and that just sort of locks my hand right into that beaver tail in the rear. When I go for a master grip, it is super positive. It feels really good in my hands. However, when it comes to the 320 platform as a whole, this is where I start to sort of not like things. You'll notice that I'm slamming my hand on here as high as that can possibly go, and it feels like the barrel is still sitting about an inch above my hand. Now ideally, if we could shoot pistols like this with the barrel straight in line with our hand, that would be the best way to do it, but obviously you got a handle on a pistol, so because of the way that this is designed, especially when comparing it to other options out on the market there, this thing just feels sort of top heavy to me. And this is just the 320 platform in general. Now for me, this isn't a huge issue because I do shoot a lot. I go to a lot of training events and I like to be proficient with as many different platforms as possible. However, if you put this in the hand of a new shooter, because that fulcrum of the recoil is so low, they're going to see a lot of muzzle rise with a gun like this. Now this one in particular, the Z320, it's not going to recoil quite as much because of the material that has been taking off of the slide. You have the ports on top, of course, and just overall this is a way better shooting gun than the stock 320. But that is one of my main problems with this platform. It is a relatively large gun when compared to its other competitors. Now before you go spouting off in the comments, just know that this is all personal preference. I'm not saying that this is a bad gun at all, just the platform in general. I don't like how high that bore is over my hand. They did improve the grip, which I'm actually a fan of now. This just really isn't a gun that I would recommend to a first-time shooter. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about the good parts. Now the slide serrations, super positive. ZEV did a really good job with this, whether you are press checking the gun, racking it from the front, hitting it with the optic. No matter where I touch these serrations, I get a really positive grip with whatever fingers I'm using. I think ZEV did a really good job on that. The texture, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, it feels pretty good. I don't have a holster to actually carry this thing appendix where I typically would, but I can already tell that this texture is a pretty good combo of aggressive and not so aggressive. That way, if it's rubbing up against your skin all day, I don't think that would be an issue. The mounting options for optics, I am a big fan of the Trijicon RMR, so I'm pretty happy with this. The lockup seems super tight, and I don't think that's going to give me any issues. I think the only real issue I've ever had with an RMR is the battery dying, or sometimes if I don't put Loctite on there, they could rattle loose a little bit, but this one feels really solid right now. And then we also have that Pro barrel on there. You can sort of tell it kind of looks like a golf ball. It's sort of dimpled, reducing weight. It looks really cool, and that is going to give you better accuracy than just a standard SIG barrel in there. And then we're coming down to the trigger. I do have quite a few thoughts on the trigger, so let's shoot this thing a little bit more, and then I will come back and give you guys my final thoughts on the entire gun and what I think about this trigger. Now let's see if we can shoot this thing at some distance. Got about a 100-yard shot here, just because. Hey, not first try, but second try. There we go. That was it. Just wanted one more. And last but not least, these next two are for everyone who supports the channel over on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Alright guys, back for some of my final impressions of the ZEV Technology Z320. Not gonna lie to you guys, I really like this pistol. I had a hunch from the beginning that the updated grip and the lightened slide would change my mind about this platform, and I shot this thing really well. It's just a really well-built pistol with a lot of good things about it. Mainly that grip angle. The grip angle on this thing for the X grips, they're just so much better than the original 320 grips, and I think they should just be selling them right like this from now on. You still have that really high bore axis, which I'm still not a huge fan of, but I can't lie, this thing shoots really well. Part of that is thanks to this trigger, so let's see if I can bring you guys in for a little bit of a close-up. Now this flat face trigger in here is probably like a 3.5 to 4 pound pull. The wall is very easy to find. It still feels like a SIG trigger though. Once you get to that wall and you pull through to the brake, a little bit of creep. The brake feels, I don't know, just not as crispy as some other brakes. The reset, very nice. You're back on top of that wall. Again, a little bit of creep and then a brake. If I had to compare this trigger to something else, let's say the P10C, great trigger, phenomenal trigger right out of the box. I would say that the brake of a P10C would be the equivalent to like glass braking. That might be kind of extreme, but you get the picture. Whereas this trigger feels like a toothpick braking, or maybe like a Q-tip, that cardboard material. It's kind of like a squishy brake, but that didn't stop me from shooting it really well. The trigger is still really predictable. It's easy to run quickly. It's just not quite as crisp as some other guns out there on the market. Now, other than that, where does this gun fit into a role? I would say as an EDC gun, a nightstand gun, sort of a do-it-all type of gun. It's right in that sweet spot zone, which for me is like a Glock 19 to Glock 17. It's got a nice big rail on there, so you could mount up a weapon light. Of course, it is optic ready, or you could pull that off if you so choose. You're getting 17 rounds and 1 in the chamber, so really good capacity on that. The gun may be a little bit large for most people's EDC. I would consider this if there were like kind of no other smaller options out there. But for my testing so far, great pistol, super reliable so far. So if you guys want more information on this, you can check them out over on ZEV's site right now. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of different options. They have some limited edition ones available right now with some different Cerakote patterns, bunch of different sizes. You can kind of pick your poison there. And I believe I even have a discount for ZEV parts, which should apply to pistols like this as well. And you can find that over on my website under the discount tab, and you can find that linked in the description down below as well. So that's all that I had for the Z320. This thing definitely changed my mind on the platform. Still don't love the P320, but this gun, give it a big thumbs up. If you got any questions on this thing, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos occasionally. Thanks again to the sponsors of this video. You guys can check them out in the description down below. If you like these videos and you want to see more of them, then help support the sponsors because they support me. That's all. Thanks for watching. Talk to you in the next one.